Alright, and what is going on, everybody? Quancredible here to bring you the review for Black Clover episode 165. And this was honestly one of like the most anticipated episodes, I feel like, in the community, or like at least for me personally. Like I probably shouldn't speak for everybody, but for me personally, this is one of the ones I was like definitely waiting to see how they were going to necessarily do it. And honestly, I wasn't disappointed. I really did enjoy how they adapted this episode, especially some of the extra stuff they added. Because like I've said before, like a lot of these chapters that were coming out for anybody who's strictly an anime only, or just to anybody who doesn't know, these chapters were coming out like during the COVID time, like peak COVID of 2020, like March, April, May. Like this was when all of this was coming out. So like a lot of the chapters were short, or we had like week breaks or 2 week breaks in between them. So like like some things were just weird, and to see it like get adapted in the way that it is really good, because there's a couple things that were like confusing in the chapters that make more sense in the actual anime. Granted, there's still some things that are a little confusing to me, and I guess I'll go over those in the review. But yeah, I'll just start in the beginning. So like I said in my last video, they're kind of going in a different order. So like they have the mysterious figure that appears in the Spade Kingdom appear at the beginning of this episode, which I have no problems with. I thought it was really cool how they did the whole like the disappear effect, and then they like drag the guy down and disappear back. I kind of like how they did the effect of that magic. I thought it was pretty good. But as for like the actual like main stuff, and that would be the fight between with that and that would be the fight between Lower Petra, Mimosa, Noelle, and Nero versus Vanica. And before I really get into it, I'm always shocked when Black Clover goes like semi brutal or semi gory ish, because Black Clover the anime isn't necessarily a like graphic series by any means. Like it's not graphic by any means in the manga or in the anime. But like when Vanica actually like stomped the like tongue guy out, and there's like blood on her shoe, or when she like charged at everybody and she like split his head open, it always throws me off for a second, because like I don't know about you guys, but I personally am like just a little like that stuff gets me. I was like ugh or ooh, like I kind of wince a little bit when that kind of stuff happens. So I'm always shocked to see like exactly how like when they do randomly go farther than usual, it kind of catches me off guard every time. But yeah, the bulk of this episode, as I was saying, is the fight between those two groups. And honestly, I feel like it was adapted really well. I think the animation was really good. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to go like super crazy Jujutsu Kaisen episode 19, blow everything out of the water, just because it's kind of the nature of the Black Clover series. So I wasn't expecting that, but I feel like for what they did have, they did really good. I really liked how they did the big Lower Petra spell for the Ludic Sanctuary. I thought that looked really good, as well as Noelle's new form, the mermaid form, looked really good in the anime. I will say I feel like it's slightly different, and when I was watching it, the form felt slightly different to me, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And like when I went in the manga and like reread some of that fight to like look at the episode and do like my own little comparison for it, I noticed like the anime like made Noelle's boobs like way bigger. And I guess it makes sense, because the anime typically does that with like every female character ever. They typically like will just go crazy with it. But I was wondering why it looked different, and that is why, in case anybody else is wondering. One thing I will say though, I did really enjoy the parts that they added of Noelle training with like Undyne to get the form, because in the manga we didn't get that at all. It was just she just popped up with this form and they were fighting. Like that was it of that. So like it was kind of cool to see like her kind of swimming through Undyne's water and losing her armor and getting the whole tail thing. It was just really interesting to see. But the part that really confuses me about that is before in the manga, where I just assumed Noelle had this form on her own, the anime kind of makes me think, is this strictly Undyne making this form for her, or can she do this on her own? Because now I'm not for sure, because like when her armor was changing in the anime, Laura Petra was explaining it to her. Like she was telling her how it works. Like, you know, like, oh, if you lose your armor, you'll be lighter, and oh, this will help you swim around in water. Like she was explaining it to her. So like it almost makes me feel like Undyne and Laura Petra using like the mana method while Noelle's in the water is giving her this form. Now, I mean, obviously we know that Laura Petra and her magic, Undyne's magic, it's all buffing Noelle while weakening Vanica, because that's like what it said. But I still assume that Noelle could do this on her own. But now I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not sure, like, if, like, say, like, Noelle went back to the underwater sea temple. I don't know if she just jumped in that water, if she could turn directly into the mermaid form. I actually, at this point, because whereas I used to think that, at this point, I kind of believe that she does actually need Laura Petra's help to do that. Which is kind of interesting, because I never really, like I said, I just assumed. But yes, in Noelle and Vonica's actual fight, I did really enjoy how they had it to where like they're like swimming around and like clashing and just going all over the place. It looked really cool. Like it was a really fun episode. Honestly, the thing with Laura Pechka is if you follow me on Twitter or if you see me in any of the live streams or just talk to me about it outside of like a YouTube video, you probably already have an idea of how I feel about her. But I feel like it's kind of misunderstood. I don't dislike Laura Pechka's character, and I don't dislike her in general. I just think she has a lot of moments where she could have been potentially more useful than what she was. That's just me. That's just how I feel about it. Now I will say her character is good. Like she does seem like this seeing this character moment in the anime was really good, I think. With her basically, like I said earlier, confiding to Noelle and Mimosa, talking about how like she feels really unfit to be the queen. She's also afraid of dying. Like just kind of all these like heavy responsibilities and burdens that come with being a ruler kind of placed on her. It's really good character stuff. Like because it feels real. It feels really real that if you had a younger person in this kind of scenario that they would feel all these things. So I really do like those moments for her, because honestly I like her character, I really do, despite what people may think. I actually do. It's just I feel like there's a lot of moments where she just is kind of useless a little bit. Like for instance in this episode when Noelle is kind of like fighting her, or not fighting her, but when Noelle is fighting Vonica, trying to draw out Vonica's power. Granted, Laura Pechka, put up the entire barrier arena thing, the ludic sanctuary, the place that they're actually fighting in. But at the same time, I feel like she's just floating in this big water bubble and kind of like watching Noelle fight. Whereas like I feel like you could be like trying to do something else also. Like who knows, maybe this spell is taking up like a huge amount of concentration and all that. I kind of just have a bit higher expectations, I guess. Which I don't think is a bad thing. It's just what I think. Now obviously, she's definitely doing something. I feel like for a leader, I just be wanting a little bit more from her. She'd be right there. Laura Pechka would be right there for me, but I just be wanting more. But all in all, as I was saying, I do like her character. And then towards the end of the actual fight, when they finally draw out Majecula's or Vonica's full power to like rely on Majecula to the 70%, that's when they call for Nero, and Nero flies in and seals her. Now this is kind of cool to see like the Mana Method Eternal Prison that Nero has. Because I like Nero's spells look really cool, how it's that weird bluish ceiling effect. So I was actually oddly looking forward to seeing that in the anime as well. Also, Nero's so weird as like a character, because like I swear when she's like in bird form, no one can ever sense her. Like no one senses magic from her at all when she's in her bird form for whatever reason. I always thought that was kind of odd, how she can just like fly in and sneak up on people, or like it's some combination of she's just really fast and just unable to be sensed when she's a bird. It's so odd. It's just a weird thing when you really think about it. Oh yeah, Mimosa was in this episode like a little bit. I kind of wanted them to expand on the Mimosa fight with Robero. I want to say his name. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right. I wanted them to expand a little bit more on that fight, because that was literally just a couple panels in the manga. We really didn't get much of that at all. Which again, I understand. Mimosa's not a fighter, so it'd be weird to have a fight really like focused on her. As well as the tongue guy is weird. Like he just is really weird. And like I can't think of any super amazing spells. Like it'll probably be really hard to make that fight cool. Like a fight between a guy that uses tongue magic and a healer. Like I feel like that would be a challenge, manga or anime wise, to make that an actual fight. So I can kind of understand why they probably didn't add too much to that one. One other big thing I want to bring up before I give my rating on the episode is I really like how they did Laura Pechka accessing the knowledge of the Heart Queens, or of the previous Heart Queens. Because in the manga, this part confused me. It honestly confused me, because I thought this was a physical place she was going to. I didn't know when I first read this that she was going somewhere in her mind, or even how this worked. But the anime did a amazing job of explaining it exactly what is happening, whereas the manga was a little bit weird. Like I want to say I didn't even know what was going on until J Clouds told me. I had no idea what even happened there. So it's just I really like how they did it. I really like how they did it in the anime. But all in all, for this episode, I think that they adapted it really well. I'd give it a solid 8. Like, it was a solid 8 episode. I think they did a really good job. I'm really excited for next week's episode, because it's like the rest of this fight, and we're getting back over to Yami. Going to be some really hype stuff there. So I am really pumped for this episode. So let me know how you guys feel about the episode down below. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the fight. Did you guys like how it was done? Did you want more added scenes, or was there a scene that you wanted added that really didn't get added? I know that's probably a weird thing to ask, but is there a part that you thought that should have been more fleshed out in in this that wasn't. Because that's always one thing that I feel like a lot of people have. They might have wanted to see something but didn't necessarily get to see it. So yeah, definitely let me know that down below, as well as make sure you guys like the video, as well as subscribe to the channel for more Black Clover content. A little bit sorry this episode review's out a little bit late. I had to work. I can't do anything about that. So apologies on that end. But yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in my next video.